The time is now 12 p.m. and I will call the meeting of the District of Columbia Board of Ethics and Government Accountability to order. I'm Norma Hutcheson, BEGA Chairperson, and due to COVID-19, this meeting is being held virtually via WebEx. Joining me today for this meeting are board members Darren Sobin, Charles Nottingham, Melissa Tucker, and Felice Smith. Together, we constitute a quorum for today's meeting. And since the agenda was posted, it has not been amended. So if I could, please, if you would, please take a minute to review the agenda, and then we need a motion to accept it, to adopt it.
I'll offer the motion to adopt the agenda for today's meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion, questions, suggestions? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, any opposition? Okay, that motion passes. And we also found in our drop boxes minutes from the September board meeting. Please take a minute to review those minutes. And then we'll need a motion for that, please.
I move that we adopt the draft minutes from the September meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any suggestions, questions, discussions about the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of adopting the minutes from the September meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, any opposition? Nay. All right, that motion passes. So we adopt the minutes from our September board meeting. Next, we'll move to a report from the Director of the Office of Government, from the Office of Open Government. Ms. Allen, would you please proceed? Director Allen?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairperson Hutcheson and members of the board. I am Niquelle Allen, Director of Open Government, and I am pleased to present this report on the activities of the Office of Open Government. Since the last board meeting, the Office of Open Government has continued to fulfill its mission of ensuring that all persons receive full and complete information regarding the affairs of the district government and the actions of those who represent them. I'll start my report with our Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act advice rendered since the last board meeting. First item is advisory opinion. I have not issued any advisory opinions since the September board meeting. The next item is informal Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act advice. OOG continues to experience a high volume of requests for assistance on open government matters since the commencement of the public health emergency. Since the last board meetings, the OOG's responses for informal and technical FOIA and OMA advice and assistance are as follows. The office responded to 12 requests for FOIA advice. The office responded to 16 requests for Open Meetings Act advice, and the office responded to 6 requests for technical assistance with our website, open-dc.gov. The next item is training and outreach. First, COVID best practices training. On September 3rd, 2020, attorneys Barton and DeBerry attended the Transforming the Government Amidst the COVID-19 webinar. Government leaders discussed the challenges brought forth within their agency since the start of COVID-19. Leaders discussed best practices and hurdles they have developed and how the current circumstances are affecting the workplace culture. Agencies are moving towards a more digital future. The next item, advocacy training. On September 10th, 2020, Attorney DeBerry attended lessons from a Zoom jury trial webinar. The webinar focused on preparation techniques used to advocate effectively in a virtual forum. Practitioners discussed strategies to employ and pitfalls to avoid. The next item is public charter school board training. On September 16th, 2020, I met with representatives from the DC Charter School Alliance, Education Board Partners, and the DC Public Charter School Board. We met to coordinate plans for educating public charter school boards of trustees and education officials on the new Open Meetings Act requirements. As you know, starting October 1st today, public charter school boards of trustees meetings are subject to the Open Meetings Act. Our plan is to host a kickoff training, which I'll discuss next, and to answer and session to answer questions, and then offer a series of open government-sponsored Open Meetings Act training, Office of Open Government-sponsored Open Meeting Act training sessions. The education attorney, once hired by OOG, will attend their board meetings on an as-needed basis to help get the schools up to speed. Attorney DeBerry will currently be serving in that capacity until the new attorney is hired. The next item, Open Meetings Act introductory training for public charter school boards of trustees. On September 22nd, the Public Charter School Board hosted a Zoom webinar for public charter school boards of trustees and public charter school executive staff. I presented Introduction to DC's Open Meetings Act for public charter schools of boards of trustees, and I responded to questions. Attorneys DeBerry and Barton were also panelists and answered OMA questions from the webinar participants. The training, as I just mentioned, was the first in a series of Open Meetings Act trainings for representatives of the individual DC Public Charter School Board of Trustees. The training was well attended by approximately 60 public charter school board representatives. Ethics training. On September 22nd, Attorneys Barton and DeBerry attended Ethics and the Government Attorney webinar sponsored by the District of Columbia Bar. The CLE program discussed the rules of professional responsibility and ethical dilemmas government lawyers face in the areas that included maintaining confidentiality and determine who is their client. Open Government Coalition webinar. On September 29th, I was featured as a panelist on a webinar presented by the DC Open Government Coalition on public access to body-worn camera video. In addition to myself, the panelists included the Honorable Council Member Charles Allen, Mitch Riles from the Washington City Paper, Douglas Sloan from the DC NAACP, and Jeff Roberts, the head of the Freedom of Information Coalition in Colorado, where the legislature recently broadened access to police information. The moderator was Kevin Goldberg of the DC Open Government Coalition. Panelists answered questions and discussed the issues of releasing body-worn camera footage while maintaining transparency and protecting privacy concerns. Specific topics included whether MPD's redactions were cost prohibitive, the timeliness of the release of the footage, whether MPD over-redacts the footage, and also whether MPD over-redacts the footage, which allegedly increased costs. The video recording of the webinar will be made available to the public by the DC Open Government Coalition soon, and we also plan to make it available on open-dc.gov. I would like to publicly thank the Open Government Coalition for hosting this event and for inviting me to speak as a panelist. This is a very important and timely topic, and I look forward to further discussion regarding body-worn cameras and transparency in DC policing. The next item, monitoring public body meetings. OOG continues to play an important role in ensuring that boards, commissions, and other public bodies successfully conduct government business remotely. OOG continues to ensure the public's right of access to meetings by monitoring public body compliance with the Open Meetings Act as amended by the Coronavirus for Congressional Review Emergency Amendment Act of 2020. I think someone may need to mute their line. I'm hearing some feedback.
I had a question, Niquelle, if you could, sure. I'm very interested in a couple of the highlights of that very esteemed panel discussion that you were invited to. Can you share some with us?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll get to it a little bit farther. This is the second to next item, which is the legislation that Councilmember Allen and others introduced this summer that, as we remember, requires within a much shorter time frame, 24 hours, if someone is killed or if there's an excessive force matter, that those videos be released to the public because of the great public interest. So there was a lot of discussion, around that, and the council member gave insight, into council's thinking on that issue. I also shared, our thinking, this office's thinking on the issue of body-worn cameras, and of specific concern to me, again, is the cost, that sometimes the redactions are making it cost prohibitive to get the videos. And another concern that was raised was the redaction of police officers' faces and badge numbers. It was pretty much consensus among the panelists, including myself, that police officers are acting on behalf of the state. So there's no privacy interest that's being violated by showing their face and badge number on camera. And, I would go even further, to say that, on the civil side, they have qualified immunity. So it's clear in the law that it's the District of Columbia acting, not them, acting as individuals. So there's no privacy interest. There was also a discussion about other jurisdictions, like our neighboring jurisdiction, Baltimore, where they just show everything. They don't do any redactions. So there was a discussion back and forth, about whether or not the district should look into no redactions. And, one of the points that I raised with that is the privacy issue, not for the officers, but for the other folks in the video. And, I pressed upon the participants the need for the district to have some sort of privacy guidance, and also to have like a standard for when the public interest outweighs privacy. I suggested having a litmus test so that it's not left up, I guess, to the police department or to the mayor, that they have like a clear set of standards for, determining when the public interest outweighs privacy interest. We didn't get into, like this, as you all may know, the U.S. attorney raised, issues about juries, and that juries could be influenced by these videos, and it would be difficult with the course of the investigation, depending on what's in the video, of having a jury that wasn't exposed to what happened in the camera. So, I guess I'll just kind of jump to it. So there is a police reform bill that was introduced this summer. So I'm jumping now to subsection C, which is legislative update, because it ties into the panel discussion. So it's the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Amendment Act, which was introduced July 31st, 2020, was referred to the Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety, and there will be a hearing on October 15th. And I will be providing testimony on the bill as it does concern these transparency issues. So this bill does require the mayor to publicly release the names and body-worn camera recordings of any officer who committed an officer-involved death, serious use of force, unless the subject or their next of kin objects to its release. So, and as I just said, a significant issue here is the mayor's practice, or the MPD's practice, of redacting the faces and badge numbers of officers featured in the video. So my testimony, which I'll provide to you all beforehand, should touch on that issue and our position on it. Again, since officers are acting on behalf of the state, there's no privacy interest that needs protection. And I've put the bill and a bill summary in Dropbox, but I think the forum was just really a good discussion, and also having the NAACP there, that representative, Douglas Sloan, he talked a lot about the community's response and the need in the District of Columbia for our community to be able to trust the police. And I think really that's kind of at the heart of the body-worn camera issue. And then on the police side also, you want to be able to defend what you've done, that you followed procedures, et cetera. So, I mean, this is definitely an issue that's going to get a lot of attention in the last part of this year. Is there any other questions or anything else, information I can provide? And we can also, if you have any comments that you'd like to share with me about it, or things that you'd like to see me highlight in my testimony, please let me know. Okay, and just moving back up to the next item on our meetings. On September 14th and September 28th, I participated in the COVID-19 coordination and support plan briefing with Homeland Security, HCMA, and DC remains in phase 2 of the reopening plan. As you may know, DC government usually offers flu shots to its employees. It's not doing that this year due to the public health emergency, but HCMA has recommended that all district employees and officers get a flu shot this year due to concerns about the burdens on the district's healthcare system and other health concerns regarding COVID-19. The last item in my report is administrative matters. The first item is attorney positions. The Office of Open Government will be filling 2 attorney vacancies in fiscal year 21. These positions are an open meetings trial attorney who will be responsible for OMA enforcement in Superior Court, and an education attorney who will be responsible for advising public charter school boards of trustees and DCPS local school advisory teams. Director Ford and I are working with the Office of the City Administrator to assist with the DC Department of Human Resources provision of human resources services, including the hiring personnel to the agency. DC HR is requiring BEGA to pay for its services in FY21, but our budget does not support payment for those services, which DC HR has provided without requiring payment until now. So I've requested the city administrator intervene to have DCHR post our vacancies while we work out this payment issue. We hope to have the matter resolved soon. Director Ford is also working on it as we need to commence the hiring process as soon as possible. The next item, FY22 budget planning. BEGA is commencing planning for the FY22 budget, and happy beginning of the fiscal year 21 today on October 1st. I'll be meeting with Director Ford soon to plan for our budget submission. You know, chief among our budget concerns is office space, so we will continue to work on DGS on requesting sufficient funds to effectuate a move to an office space that meets our needs. And the last item is our current office space. On September 11, 2020, I met with a representative from DGS at the Office of Open Government's office space, along with BEGA's administrative officer and COVID-19 response coordinator, Sandra Peterson. DGS evaluated BEGA's overall space and OOG space specifically, and concluded that the space is sufficient for social distancing requirements. In fact, preparation for phase 3 of the reopening, DGS recommended that we provide hand sanitizing stations by the printer and in the hearing room. This concludes the Office of Open Government October 1st, 2020 report.
Thank you, Director Allen. Next, we'll have a report from the Acting Director of Government Ethics. Ms. Ford, please proceed.
Good afternoon, board members. Good afternoon. My name is Rochelle Ford, and I am the Acting Director of Government Ethics here in the district. And I am pleased to present this report on the activities of the Office of Government Ethics for the past month. First, I will give an update on the status of our operations, recapping the previous month's activities. Again, given COVID-19, or rather the public health emergency, our staff has continued to investigate pending matters as is feasible given the stay-at-home orders. And as the board met in a meeting on September 21st, you are well aware that the staff has worked on an investigation and closed it in short order, very efficiently and very effectively. So we've been very busy. These reported statistics that I'm about to provide do not reflect status changes that we anticipate will occur as a result of any actions taken by the board at today's meeting. First, the number of open investigations. We have 46 open, 2 at the show cause hearing stage for a grand total of 48. We have no matters currently pending as undocketed. We have 29 matters that are closed pending collection, 4 matters that are stayed pending OAG False Claims Act investigations or cases, 7 that are stayed pending OIG investigations for a grand total of 40 matters that are either closed pending or stayed. And we have 24 regulatory matters that are closed pending. For comparison, last month we had 53 open cases and 13 stayed. And this month we have 48 open cases and 11 stayed. I should note that the number of investigations reflect 4 new matters open since the board last met, and 6 matters that the board, rather that the team resolved since the board last met. Next, I'll report on trainings and outreach. First, professional development trainings attended by the staff. During the month of September, OGE attorneys, including GC Raj and myself, and investigators attended the 2020 virtual Compliance and Ethics Institute held by the Society of Corporate Compliance and Ethics. The conference was a comprehensive event spanning 3 days, going as long as 9 or 10 hours a day, and covered all aspects of ethics, compliance, investigations, and enforcement. The topics covered involved both global ethics, domestic ethics, corporate ethics, public and private sector matters. And in addition to the Institute, Attorney Cooks attended Octo's WebEx events training, and Attorney Stuart Mitchell attended financial investigations triage training. Program Specialist Dan Kosick attended 4 trainings, including Unpacking Bias, Excel 2019, Creating Macros, Creating and Populating a Database and Access, and Making the Time You Need, Getting Organized. Auditor Tajuba completed the following trainings: Establishing Team Goals and Responsibilities and Using Feedback Effectively, Gaining a Positive Perspective on Feedback, Strategies for Building a Cohesive Team, and Clarity and Conciseness in Business Writing. Next, with respect to trainings conducted by the staff, since the last board meeting, OGE conducted a monthly training in September that was attended by 209 employees, as well as we had a number of employees, I haven't gotten the final number, who completed the online ethics training, but I'll get it to you. Let's see, OGE also gave 2 ethics trainings to DCPS with 439 participants, one to OAH, which had 50 participants, and another to the staff of incoming Councilmember Brooke Pinto. OG did not host the Brown Bag Ethics Forum this month in order to gear up for BEGA's 2020 Ethics Week. As Director Allen mentioned, this year the event will focus on ethics in open government and virtual world, and I'm really pleased to announce that Councilmember Charles Allen has agreed to introduce the week and speak to district employees and the public about ethics and BEGA's work. So a copy of the final course schedule for the week is included in the Dropbox. Next, with respect to informal advice, we answered, or rather responded to, approximately 46 inquiries, which is 7 less than the 53 reported at the last meeting. This number does not include responses we provided to questions regarding the lobbyist and FDS systems. OG did not issue any advisory opinions last month. OG does plan to issue an advisory opinion on seeking and negotiating employment for district employees so that there can be clear guidance on the applicable ethics standards, and we want to share best practices with the employees and ethics counselors as well. Next, with respect to the budget, as Director Allen mentioned, we are now working to prepare the fiscal year 2020 budget and planning. We, again, will focus on securing new space. Also, as we anticipate future budget restrictions as a result of the global pandemic, we are working with the CFO and will work with OAG to perfect judgments and secure outstanding debts to BEGA in order to ensure that we are able to collect revenue going forward. Next, with respect to administrative matters, the office status, as you are well aware, we continue to work remotely, although I am in the office today. Although some staff members go into the office on an ad hoc basis to handle mail and other matters as needed. Next, I am very pleased to announce that Ashley Cooks has been promoted to Supervisory Attorney Advisor for Advice and Training to reflect her role in substantially expanding and formalizing OGE's education and outreach efforts in accordance with our strategic plan to provide more specialized ethics training in partnership with agencies and to better train ethics counselors and to manage the district's learning management system and track ethics trainings. Like all the staff attorneys at OGE, Attorney Cooks has done an exceptional job at performing her regular duties as well as her assigned specialties. Her expertise and knowledge of BEGA's roles is an important asset to the agency. So please join me in offering her congratulations. As Director Allen also stated, OGE will also be posting a vacancy to fill a position for a new attorney advisor who we will bring on to assist with moving cases forward more efficiently going forward. Lastly, we have reached out to the UDC Law School to establish an internship program, and we look to bring someone on board soon to provide a student with an opportunity to work in public service and to assist the office with research projects that may come up as needed. Next, financial disclosure and lobbyist matters. With respect to financial disclosure, as reported last month, we have identified non-filers who did not file their financial disclosures in a timely fashion and did not seek support. And we are going to impose a $300 late penalty on them. Those letters should go out this week. And we anticipate levying fines on over about 100 non-filers. Auditor Tajuba also completed the public financial disclosure statement audits, a conflict of interest audit, and an audit of the second quarter lobbyist filings. And staff will pursue any issues identified for enforcement accordingly. Lastly, the third quarter lobbyist reports are due by October 15th. And thank you. This concludes the Office of Government Ethics report, unless you all have any questions for me.
Are there any questions for Ms. Ford? No. Okay. I also want to congratulate Ms. Cooks on her promotion and thank you for your continued hard work. Much success in your new position. Next item is public comment. Any public comments should have been submitted to BEGA@dc.gov by 11 o'clock this morning. So comments will be published with the meeting minutes from this meeting. The next item on our agenda is the executive session, the non-public meeting. And this meeting is to discuss ongoing confidential investigations pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B, to consult with an attorney to obtain legal advice and to preserve the attorney-client privilege between an attorney and a public body pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B4A, to discuss personnel matters including the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, performance evaluation, compensation, discipline, demotion, removal, or resignation of government appointees, employees, or officials pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B10, and to deliberate on a decision in which the Ethics Board will exercise quasi-judicial functions pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B13, and to discuss contract negotiation strategies pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B2. And may I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so it is now 12:30 and we will enter an executive session. So we should close out of this meeting. Okay. All right, the time is now 1:27 and the board is resuming its open meeting. I neglected to get approval for the minutes from the September 21st special session. I also want to note that with me are now our our board members, Felice Smith and Melissa Tucker. It looks like Mr. Sobin and Mr. Nottingham have not been able to join us, but we still have a quorum. So with that, I need to get a motion for approval of the minutes from the special session of the special meeting that was held on September 21st. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second from anyone?
Am I the only other person?
Miss Tucker?
I think she.
I made the motion, I think, unless you didn't hear me.
Okay, Miss Smith then?
Oh, so this is the 21st?
Yes, you were not on that meeting.
Yes.
Okay, then we may have to take this over to the November meeting then. You're right, absolutely. Okay, we'll wait on that then. The board has nothing to report out from the executive session. This concludes our meeting for today. The next meeting will be held on Thursday, November 5th at noon. And I thank you for your attendance and your continued hard work. Everybody, please be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep safe.
Bye-bye.
See you all soon. Bye-bye.